Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm Delegate Mike Rogers, and I represent Legislative District 32 in Anne Arundel County. I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome you to the third annual statewide Veteran Symposium. Tonight's event is being simulcast on Zoom, Anne Arundel County Television, and Facebook Live. The purpose of tonight's symposium is to educate and inform veterans and their families. So at this point, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce Maryland's very own Secretary of Veterans Affairs to bring greeting and kick off tonight's event, Secretary George Owens.
Well, thank you very much for that kind introduction, but you introduced yourself as a delegate, and hours before Veterans Day, you forgot to add Colonel, retired United States Army with a small stint in the Marine Corps. Did I miss that?
I think you nailed it, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mike, very much. Welcome to everybody that is on this simulcast tonight. Delegate Colonel Mike Rogers, who I call a friend, is so veteran-centric and oriented that it swells your heart if you are in that mode. He goes out of his way to do things. I'm not just painting a picture of him, but it's true. He is a retired colonel, and he has the best interest of all those of us who served by virtue of this third annual symposium. Let me begin by thanking you again, Mike, for the invitation to share just a few remarks as we do head towards the all-important Veterans Day, which is tomorrow. I'll be joining the governor out at Peace Cross for the rededication of that. It's a very, very exciting and moving time tomorrow. As you may remember, that had to go before the Supreme Court to continue to stand the way it does. So the families and the people that are joining us this evening, I want to thank all of them who have served and who have family members that served. And of course, tomorrow we gather all across this great country to honor our veterans for their service. But tonight we come together just to bring our veterans up to snuff where we are as things are moving forwards tomorrow. Because as you all know, history dictates it's the 11th day, the 11th hour, the 11th month in 1918. I doubt very seriously that many of us on this call tonight were even born then, but that's when the guns of World War I fell silent and Europe and America's heroes finally started coming home. I had a great uncle who served over there in Europe during that time. But, it goes without saying that we are blessed in a country like no other in the world, but it didn't come with anything less than a tremendous sacrifice for our armed forces that have given us the security and the freedom to which we grow and flourish as a native. At the Department of Veterans Affairs, I'm going to conclude with this. We are committed not just on Veterans Day, but every day around there. Dana Burrow will be on, and shortly she is the Director, of course, of Communications, Advocacy, and Outreach, and we'll tell you that every day, 365, except on leap year for 366, when we have every day at the Department of Veterans Affairs is Veterans Day. And we will continue as long as we are there in the service and remain committed to our mission in the coming months and the years ahead. And again, Mike, I want to thank you so very much for these few minutes to kind of kick this off. And God bless you. God bless everybody on this, and God bless America. Thank you again.
Mr. Secretary, thank you for those words. And I want to say from the bottom of my heart, no one does better. You're the best Secretary of Veterans Affairs in Maryland I've had the opportunity to serve with, and those that come before me. So thank you for what you do. I know you're a Vietnam veteran, a Marine, and really appreciate you taking the time to say a few words for us this evening. I know you have some other things to do and we'll have to drop off. But again, just appreciate everything that you've done, everything that you do, and everything that I know that you will continue to do. So with that, go ahead, George.
I thank you. I thank you again, Mike, and I do have to drop off. I got miles to go.
Yep.
So thank you again.
So at this point, I want to take the opportunity to allow the representative from the Latino Legislative Caucus, Delegate Gabriel Acevedo from Montgomery County, just to bring a few greetings.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Go ahead.
Okay. Great. Just want to make sure we're good. Well, good evening, everyone. And thank you, Delegate Rogers, for just creating the space so that we can commemorate Veterans Day and honor the folks who continue to make the sacrifices to ensure that not only that we have a strong democracy, but some of the freedom and civil liberties that that we all enjoy. And so want to thank you, Delegate Rogers, and your office for organizing this and all the partners involved. As was mentioned, I'm Delegate Gabriel Acevero, and I'm proud to serve the 39th District, which is out in Montgomery County. And I also serve on the executive board of the Maryland Legislative Latino Caucus, which is essentially a caucus that not only represents the Latino community here in Maryland, but its legislative interests in Annapolis. And so tonight we are honored to join you all, and thank you, Delegate Rogers, for the invitation to not just provide brief remarks, but to extend an invitation to work with our caucus and its members so that we can continue to make Maryland not just a stronger place for everyone, but certainly for our veterans. So thank you so very much, and happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans. Thank you for your service, and thank you, Brother Rogers, for your service and for organizing this.
Thank you very much, Acevero. Appreciate those words. And so with that, I'm going to turn to the chair of the Asian Pacific Islander Caucus, my good friend, Senator Clarence Lamb.
Hi, thank you, Delegate Rogers. It's great to be here as the chair of the Asian American Pacific Islander Legislative Caucus and to bring greetings on behalf of the caucus. It's really an honor to be here. And I think what you heard from Delegate Acevero and also from my colleagues is that the recognition of the service that our veterans have offered and provided in service to this country really does bring us together. And that's why we're all here. I know Delegate Barnes is here representing the Black Caucus as well. This is really an opportunity for us to be able to recognize all the important work that our veterans have done in service to not only our country, but our communities, and continue to do a lot of that work as well. I know from our efforts in Annapolis that veterans and support of our veterans, and as well as their families, are really something that brings all of us together. It crosses party lines, it crosses jurisdictions, it crosses, as you can see here, different ethnicities and different caucuses and communities, because we recognize how important it is to be able to support those who gave so much in service to their country, as well as the families that have supported them as well. And so it's really a pleasure and an honor to be able to bring greetings on behalf of the Asian American Pacific Islander Legislative Caucus to all of you, and certainly appreciate all of the efforts that went together to recognizing, to having this event to recognize our veterans, and want to also thank Delegate Rogers for his efforts in coordinating this as well. So on behalf of the AAPI Legislative Caucus, thank you to all of our veterans, and thank you for your service and continued service to our communities.
So Senator Lamb, truly appreciate those remarks and truly appreciate all that you're doing with the Asian American Pacific Islander Caucus. And so with that, I know we're waiting for the Women's Caucus to join us, Delegate Lopez. So I'm going to turn to the Legislative Maryland Black Caucus and Chairman Darrell Barnes.
Thank you so much. And as was said before, and I don't want to repeat myself, but I do believe that this is a special occasion. And have me being someone who has served in the United States Navy and the United States Army, I understand the importance and significance of this day and this moment. It goes without saying that a large part of this day and this event is to celebrate our veterans, but also to bring awareness of the needs that our veterans have. And I want to thank Delegate Rogers for putting this annual event together, because I think it means a lot, not only to the members of the General Assembly, but those that are also participating. So on behalf of the Maryland Legislative Black Caucus, I just want to say thank you so much and bring greetings from all of our members.
Thank you for those remarks, Delegate Barnes. And so with that, I'm going to turn to my good friend and chair of the Senate Veterans Caucus, Senator Michael Jackson. Senator Jackson, we can't hear you. Senator Jackson, we can see you speaking, but we can't hear you. So while we work that out, we're going to go to the chair of the Women's Caucus, my good friend Delegate Leslie Lopez from Montgomery County, and then we'll come back to you, Senator Jackson.
Yeah, thank you, Delegate Rogers. It is an honor to be here and an honor, of course, to be celebrating the contributions of veterans in our state. We have dozens of, I should say, tens of thousands of women veterans in our state, and it is certainly a huge contribution that they've made, and we celebrate it each year in the Women's Caucus. And so thank you for inviting me, and thank you for allowing me to add my voice to this chorus of support.
Delegate Lopez, thank you so much. And as you said, I know, and Dana will probably mention it later, there are thousands of women who serve, and we appreciate everything that they do. And we'll talk about some of those numbers a little bit later. And I know that you're in the midst of a Montgomery County delegation meeting, so I appreciate you taking the time to come in and say a few words. So thank you so much. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pivot back to Senator Jackson, and we're going to try to get that again. My good friend, who is the chair of the Senate Veterans Caucus. So Senator Jackson, go ahead. Senator Jackson, we've got video, but we don't have any audio. Okay, we see where you just went on mute, you came off mute. Okay, well, what we'll do is we'll attempt to come back as your schedule allows. But at this point, I want to go ahead and introduce our two panelists for this evening's program, Ms. Dana Burrow and Mr. Mike McHale. Dana is the Program Director, Communications Outreach and Advocacy Program in the Maryland Department of Veterans Affairs. And Mr. Mike McHale is the business manager of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 24. And I know they've got some great information they would like to share. I see my good friend Bob Church from the Veterans Commission in Anne Arundel County also. I wanted to acknowledge him. And just remember, we are simulcasting tonight on Zoom, Facebook Live, and Anne Arundel County Television. So we're going to provide an opportunity later in the program for those who are tuned in to ask questions that they might have on any of the mediums of which they're participating. So with that, and without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Dana Burrow.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Delegate Rogers, so much for the opportunity to be here with you all, and to all of the members of the various General Assembly caucuses. Thank you for coming out tonight to share some greetings as we are on the heels of Veterans Day. So as Delegate Rogers indicated, I am the Director of Communications, Outreach, and Advocacy for the Maryland Department of Veterans Affairs. I've had the humbling honor of serving in this role for the better part of 9 years now. And I just want to reiterate my thanks to the delegate. He is actually the one who spearheaded the change to my program name this past legislative session to include the word communications, as well as to kind of bring our program up to speed and ensuring that what is written in statute accurately reflects the work that we do within my program with the Department of Veterans Affairs. So I'm going to cover a few things this evening, and I do apologize if I go through them very quickly. I could spend several hours talking about MDVA programs, but I just kind of want to share with you some highlights as well as provide some information related to some of the initiatives that we have been up to for the better part of the last couple of years, as well as the last couple of months. So I'm going to do a really high level overview of the department, talk with you about our participation in the National Governor's Challenge to Prevent Suicide amongst service members, veterans, and their families. Going to talk about Operation Greenlight, as well as the launch of Landing Zone Maryland, and then also finish up with giving some updates as it relates to our Veterans Day ceremonies that will be taking place tomorrow. I always feel like it's important when I'm providing a briefing to providers, to organizations, to veterans, to kind of give a sense of who our Maryland veterans are. And the data that I'm sharing with you on this screen comes to us from the 2020 U.S. Census Bureau and the 2020 American Community Survey. This data is considered to be a true count, not an estimate, of veterans who are living in the state of Maryland. As you can see here, we have just under 360,000 veterans making Maryland home. They comprise just under 8% of the adult population, and just under 30% of our veterans are between the ages of 35 and 54. I'm really, really honored and proud to report that our veteran population is also more diverse in comparison to the national average. Approximately 30% of our veterans living in the state identify as Black or African American, and about 4% as Hispanic. In addition, as the chair of the Women's Caucus indicated, we have a very sizable women veteran population here in the state. Just under 50,000 women have honorably served in our nation's military, and just under 50% of whom identify as white, and just under 40% identify as Black or African American. So I just want to talk a little bit also about, as I mentioned, the programs that operate within the Maryland Department of Veterans Affairs. We have 5 core programs. The first of which is our service and benefits program. We have accredited service officers all across the state who are actively providing assistance to the men and women who have served in the uniformed services, also providing assistance to their dependents and survivors as it relates to obtaining benefits to the federal VA. We also operate a 454-bed assisted living and skilled nursing home. Charlotte Hall Veterans Home is situated in St. Mary's County. Delegate Rogers has led the charge in bringing so many donations to our home. So again, thank you for that great work, Delegate. We are hopeful to see a second veterans home coming to the state, to Carroll County, in the next couple of years. It will be located on the grounds of Springfield Hospital. So we're very, very excited and hopeful to see that coming in the next couple of years. We also operate one of the busiest state veteran cemetery programs in the country. We operate 5 state veteran cemeteries: Cheltenham, Crownsville, Rocky Gap, the Eastern Shore, as well as Garrison Forest, which is in Baltimore County. Our 4th program is the Maryland Veterans Trust Fund. It is a 501c3 that has been established to assist eligible veterans and surviving widows and widowers who are experiencing temporary financial difficulties. The really powerful thing about our trust fund is that because it is a 501c3, 100% of the donations that come into the fund go back into the hands of veterans who are in need. And I would be remiss if I did not highlight the work of the Communications Outreach and Advocacy Program, over which I am responsible. We have the distinct honor of ensuring that the almost 360,000 veterans who live here in the state have an awareness of the myriad of VA benefits and entitlements that they are eligible to receive as a result of their military service. Back in January of 2020, we facilitated the first ever statewide Joint Veterans Commission meeting. It came right as we were about to enter a state of the world that none of us had ever really experienced before. So we weren't able to continue hosting those summits in person, but since we have continued to host them virtually, we meet on a quarterly basis where I bring together all of the County Veterans Commission, provide to them a lot of education. We do a lot of sharing of best practices, and we discuss opportunities to improve collaboration. I also oversee the Veteran Services Specialist Program in state government. There are state agency veteran liaisons all across state governments. We come together on a quarterly basis, again, where I offer to them education on a whole variety of VA resources, whether they are federal, state, or local, to essentially empower them to then share the information with employees and constituents who have served in the military. And I am so thankful to have the chair of the Women's Caucus here with us this evening, because we launched our first Women Veterans Inclusion Program last September. I am sorry, not sorry to have brought over from the Maryland Department of Labor, Miss Rosalind Jones. She is our full-time program manager, and she is charged with raising awareness of the needs of Maryland's women, minority, and traditionally underserved veteran populations. A few other initiatives that we have been actively involved in over the course of the last couple of years and/or months. The first one is the Governor's Challenge to Prevent Suicide Amongst Service Members, Veterans, and their families. We were invited by the VA and the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration as a state to participate in this challenge back in May of 2020. I was asked to serve as co-lead on this challenge, and I am so proud and honored to serve as co-lead, but I would be remiss if I did not mention Ms. Joy Ashcraft. She is the director of Maryland's Commitment to Veterans. It is a Maryland Department of Health, Behavioral Health Administration program. She has led the charge, and over the course of the last year has secured just under $1 million in grant funding to propel the work that we have been doing forward. We have 3 key priority areas that we are working on. One is identification of service members, veterans, and their families and screening for suicide risk. We are in the process of procuring a production agency to develop an Ask the Question training curriculum that will eventually be placed on our hub, our state training platform. And the goal is to spin up state government personnel on how to properly ask the question related to military service, and then also to provide information to them on resources so that when an individual does disclose that they have served, individuals who are serving them know how to connect them to resources. Our second priority is promoting connectedness and peer support. The Behavioral Health Administration is in the process of developing an endorsement training for credentialed certified peer recovery specialists who work with the service member, veteran, and family member population. And thirdly, because of the grant funding that Joy was able to acquire for BHA, BHA and Maryland's Commitment to Veterans has launched the TMAP program. It is the Trained Military Assistance Provider program, and it is designed to facilitate a web-based, culturally competent lethal means safety and safety planning training portal for primary care practices. So for individuals who are primary care providers, primarily serving the civilian population, this pilot program is spinning them up on military cultural competency, providing them education on lethal means safety and how to effectively have the conversation around safety planning for individuals who are currently serving or who have served in the military. Most recently, Maryland, I'm very honored to say, has partnered with the National Association of Counties on Operation Greenlight. And for those of you who have joined us from a desktop, you will see in front of you a whole host of photos. The purpose of Operation Greenlight is to raise awareness of state and county veteran resources and challenges that some veterans face during periods of transition, most specifically transition to civilian life. We have encouraged over the course of the last several months, governments, businesses, and residents to illuminate a green light to show our veterans that they are seen, appreciated, and supported. This initiative launched Monday, November 7th, and will run through the 13th. However, there is no need to take the light out of your place of business or your residence out on the 13th. Feel free to continue illuminating that light and continuing to show your support. In addition to that, we are encouraging governments, businesses, residents to educate themselves and to become more aware of training opportunities related to military and veteran culture, military health or mental health services, and so much more. We are aware of 11 counties who are participating in this initiative. We have 20 plus landmarks that are being illuminated this week, to include the Governor's Mansion, M&T Bank Stadium, Maryland's World Trade Center, the Maryland Convention Center. And again, if you are joining from a desktop, you'll even see some very adorable pups that are illuminated in green who are currently being trained as service animals at Warrior Canine Connection. And it is not too late to illuminate a residence. So if you can get out there and light something up in green, please do so. The last initiative I wanted to share with all of you is the launch of Landing Zone Maryland. Earlier this year, we facilitated a focus group where we brought together veterans and providers who are serving them to discuss ways that we could modernize the way that we are saying welcome home to veterans and families who are moving or retiring to Maryland. Just this past Monday, we launched Landing Zone Maryland. It's a digital guide that provides information specifically targeted at transitioning service members, their families, and or retiring service members who are returning to Maryland. There are 6 key landing zones that are a part of this guide. They range from basic support that includes resources related to housing, medical care, motor vehicle information, to landing zone security, which talks about VA benefits, tax exemptions, tax credits, financial planning, to LZ operational support that provides information on employment, entrepreneurship, and education, to mission support, which provides information on volunteer opportunities and community engagement, as well as LZ ground support that provides really great information related to our state parks and information related to hunting and fishing and recreational activities. And then finally, Landing Zone Homefront that provides information related to the development of new talents, whether that is participating in book clubs or veteran writing projects or even learning yoga, because so many of these activities really do help to improve mental health and overall wellness, especially during those periods of transition that can elevate mental health challenges for our veterans. And then finally, and I do apologize, I did go through this fairly quickly. I do encourage you, if you want to learn more, to please visit our website, veterans.maryland.gov. The last thing I just wanted to share with everyone is that we've had some changes in response to the impending weather that's coming up the coast tomorrow. We have traditionally held Veterans Day ceremonies at all of our veteran cemeteries, as well as most of our veteran memorials. There are 3 ceremonies that are currently scheduled as planned. They are at Crownsville, Garrison Forest, and Rocky Gap. There are a couple of events that were scheduled that have moved indoors. The first one being our ceremony that would have been at our World War II Memorial in Annapolis. That has moved to American Legion Post 141, which is on Forest Drive in Annapolis. And then the second event that has moved is the ceremony that is typically at our Eastern Shore Veteran Cemetery. That is going to be held at the Federalsburg VFW Post 5246. The Cheltenham Veteran Cemetery Ceremony Committee made the decision today to cancel the ceremony that would have been held there. So that ceremony has been canceled due to the impending weather. And there are no events this year being held at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial because the committee that normally plans that ceremony is actually down in Washington, D.C. for the Veterans Day ceremony being held at the Wall. And there is no ceremony this year at the Korean War Memorial. And lastly, I just want to say thank you and wish all who have served or who are currently serving a very, very happy and hopefully relaxing and dry Veterans Day. I've provided for you information on how to reach out to us. Our main number, 410-260-3838. My direct contact, dana.burrell@maryland.gov. And of course, you can find all of the information that I shared with you this evening by visiting our website, which is veterans.maryland.gov. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my slides. And Mike, I don't know if there's any questions or not.
There are a couple questions, but I'm going to hold those to the end. And what I want to attempt to do here before we go to Mike McHale is circle back to my good friend and Senator Michael Jackson to give him an opportunity to bring some quick greetings. And then Mike, we'll go back to you. Senator Jackson, let's try this again. Okay, I guess we still have some technical difficulties, but as my Air Force brethren used to say, flexibility is the key to air power. So we're going to be flexible. And I have a statement that I want to read from Senator Jackson, and he brings greetings from the Maryland Veterans Caucus, where they stand ready to meet the needs of all Maryland veterans and families, from employment, health care, including mental health, education, training, housing, tax incentives, retirement benefits. In closing, we are proud to serve those who have served. And he wanted to say, as I do, happy birthday, United States Marine Corps. And that would be the 247th birthday, I might add, of the United States Marine Corps. So with that, Senator Jackson, really appreciate those comments. I look forward to working with you this upcoming session, although I'm still waiting for those mail-ins to come in Anne Arundel County, but I think we'll be okay. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my good friend and the business manager of Local 24 of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Mr. Mike McHale. And I want to say that, you know, Dana and Mike and I had a chance to sit down during the Maryland Association of Counties meeting and just talk about, you know, some of the things that might be available to get veterans into some of our apprenticeship programs. As we know, apprenticeship programs are a path to the middle class in the United States, and they do a lot of great work in the building trades arena. And so with that, before we go to the questions, I want to give Mr. Mike McHale an opportunity to speak to us a little bit about some of the apprenticeship programs that they have.
Thank you, Delegate Rogers, and thank you, everybody. On behalf of IBW Local 24, we want to wish all the veterans that are joining us tonight a good Veterans Day. Thank you for your service. I was not in the military, but my father was. My father was an Irish immigrant and came here and was part of the U.S. Army in the 50s. And it had a huge influence on his life. And to this day, my father still uses his VA benefits in Delaware, where he lives. So the way this works, I know that the military have a lot of acronyms, and our industry is pretty easy for me, but I've been doing it my whole life. So I thought I would go through a handful of acronyms. I have a couple of slides to show, and then if there's any questions, I'm happy to show them. So obviously the IBEW is shorthand for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. We are international, primarily United States, Canada. We have some folks in Puerto Rico, which I know is still the United States. We have 720,000 members today. There are local unions like mine all over the country. My sister local in Washington, D.C. is Local 26. My sister local in Cumberland is Local 307. And then the outside branch here in Maryland is Local 70. So that's the IBEW. Our contractor partners go by the acronym NECA, which is the National Electrical Contractors Association. So those folks are in the contracting business, and they hire my members to perform work for them under a collective bargaining agreement. And then the one that really hits home with what Delegate Rogers was talking about is the last one. It's a little confusing. It's called the JATC. which is shorthand for the Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee. So that's our training facility where labor and management work together to train the next generation of electricians. It's one of the best things we do, labor and management. We don't agree on everything there, but at the end of the day, it's important to turn out qualified young men and women to carry on this trade. So with that, I will say, after seeing the slide presentation from Ms. Pearl, I'll be changing my sign to like the green on the building when I leave. And I'll take a picture of it. We'll make sure we get it up on posts. And so it was good to know. And actually, I have two presentations depending on time. The first one is, let me see if I get this right. That's ours. One of our assistant agents, Chloe Starcher, put that together for me today. That's obviously the front shot where we are, how to get a hold of us. Mike can get a hold of me, Delegate Rogers, anytime he wants. He's got my cell phone numbers. And that's our location. Give me 1 second to see if I can run this thing. I'm looking for the next page. There we go. So a little bit about us. We train, represent electricians. We have apprenticeship programs for inside wiremen, which is what I am, and voice data video technicians. We have continuing education courses, electrical vehicle charging stations, master's prep, Dixie, medium voltage. So currently our training center has about 400 apprentices. We're in a unique position here. My building where I'm sitting is in Baltimore County by about 30 feet. And my training center is in Baltimore City. So the county line goes right through our parking lot. The bottom shot are the lights that are in left field of Camden Yards. So when the club moved that left field fence out, one of our employers was hired to relocate those lights. And they did it with a helicopter. It was quite an interesting job. How we connect with each other. We have union meetings, we have social events, we have a family picnic, a children's holiday party. Interestingly, tonight, the second bullet says Veterans Committee. We have a member named Nicole Smith. I believe Nicole was in the Air Force. She is now the head of our Veterans Committee. And tonight, coincidentally, they had their monthly meeting here at our Union Hall. So our space is available to the veterans. She's actually the Maryland, she was the 4th District Coordinator, which is Maryland, Ohio, Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, and the District of Columbia. Recently, they've gotten a little bit more involvement, more people. So Nicole pretty much worries about the state of Maryland now. But I do know that we have over 100 veterans working out of our local union as we speak right now. The EWMC is the Minority Caucus. We have a retirees group, and we also have a young people's group here. So this local union is very active in trying to bring people along and get the next group of leadership established in this industry. We have camaraderie within the IBEW. Some veterans I've talked to like the job site camaraderie. It's nothing like being in the service, I'm sure. But as far as people looking out for each other, helping people with trouble, helping people learn to trade, there are some similarities there. Obviously, that's our graduating apprenticeship class on the top, and then that's a job site. Actually, the guy holding that sign up was retiring after 45 years with the IBEW. So that is the presentation for us. But I also have one from the FFL-CIO. It's a pre-apprenticeship program, and it may, depending on what status the veteran has and when they're getting out, there is another avenue for them to get exposed to our trades. And let me get this one up here. Let me get this one out of here. There it is. So this is called Raising the Bar. This is the Baltimore DC Metro Building Trades. NAD2, which is the National Building Trades. Of course, the IBEW is part of that. And then Community Services of Central Maryland. They're located here in Baltimore. The gentleman that heads that up right now is one of our members, and we're proud of him, and he's very active. And let's see, I'm trying to run this slide. So bear with me, Delegate Rogers. I will get it. Here we go. All right. So the mission of the organization is to provide training and preparation in order to ensure successful entrance into life-changing and rewarding career paths and union apprenticeships. This particular program is, in addition to us, it's the other building trades. It's the insulators, the iron workers, the carpenters, the steam fitters, the plumbers, pretty much any building trades you can think of. This pre-apprenticeship readiness program is suited to them. If you look, I think you might see a familiar face there. That's Senator McCray on the left, or my left. This is a graduation ceremony for those guys. It's 3 weeks. It prepares them to get into the apprenticeship of their choice, hopefully. Nick Cummings is the gentleman in the purple shirt. A graduate's holding up his sign. And to be honest with you, I am at a loss right now for the gentleman to Senator McCray's side. On the right-hand side, that's a picture of our training center. Anybody that's on this call or that would like to see that training center, we certainly can make arrangements. We're very proud of it, and we're happy to show anybody what we have. This is how the Lifting the Bar program helps to train people and get them ready for apprenticeships. Math, financial literacy, blueprint reading. Everybody can read as well as I can. I don't mean to dumb it down by reading it, but this is the access and the training that they're exposed to. The picture with the cranes, that was actually at a job fair at the Operating Engineers Training Center over off North Point Road. And not everybody wants to be an electrician. So if people have an interest in becoming operating engineers, we can make that connection for them as well. There's the graduation day. That's at our hall, obviously. And the picture speaks for itself. And what's the last picture? Yeah, so I'll get that off of there. The other thing that people say is, if you want to keep people's interest, talk about something that you know. And in my case, apprenticeship is a big deal for me. I'm from South Baltimore. Like we said, I'm a child of some Irish immigrants, and I didn't have a lot of direction in my life. And when I got into this apprenticeship, it changed everything for me. Started when I was 19. These people whose office that I'm now sitting in from 37 years ago taught me how to be an inside wireman and provide for my family. And we would like to extend those opportunities for any veteran that is getting out of the service and would be interested in doing what we do. So, Mike, I said I could do 10 minutes. I don't know how long I did, but
you did well. And as a matter of fact, you left time for us. We do have a few questions, so we're going to go ahead and address those questions. But before I do that, I know that there was something put in the chat. And so for those folks that are on Anne Arundel County Television, as well as those folks who are on Facebook, I want to let everyone know that the National Wreath Laying Day is December 17th and will take place at all 5 of our state veteran cemeteries. And you can register at the website that's been shared, or go to Maryland Department of Veterans Affairs website, and you can sign in there. And then I also want to mention that the Lithicum Veterans Memorial on Saturday, the 12th, we'll be having a ceremony at 11 a.m. Veterans commemoration of the annual memorial brick dedication. So Dana mentioned a number of activities that are going on tomorrow. I plan to be at a number of activities celebrating Veterans Day. So I would encourage folks to support your local VFWs and American Legions, your military service organizations, veteran service organizations. Tomorrow's a perfect day to do that. I'll be at Post 276 as well as 141 in Annapolis, and also Crownsville Cemetery, weather permitting. And so with that, we have a couple questions here. I think we addressed the one about the volunteering opportunities supporting wreath laying, but there was another question. I have a veteran in my family who served and have some trade certificates. Can they come to your facility to learn more? And I think that's questions more for Mike McHale, but I'll certainly give Dana a chance to chime in after Mike responds.
Absolutely. If the veteran was, depending on what trade the veteran was in, we'll make arrangements to get them connected with the appropriate trade. And if it's our trade, we're happy to show that person around, show them our training center, explain the process to them, and we have time for everybody.
Okay. I think this question is more for Dana, and it's almost like someone asked this for Dana. I would love to receive information coming out of the department. Is there a newsletter I can receive?
I feel like that was an insider question. Yes. My deputy director, Denise Noe, designs and publishes our biweekly electronic newsletter. It goes out via email. We now have a subscriber list of just under 200,000. It provides information to subscribers on state partner news, information on the Maryland Department of Veterans Affairs, federal partner news, lots of information related to events and things going on, things that are being planned by our community partners. And I will put the link to our website in the chat. But for those of you who are not on Zoom, might be watching this on television, our website is veterans.maryland.gov. And from the homepage of our website, right in the middle of the homepage there's a box that says stay connected. You just simply enter in your email address there and you can sign up to start receiving our electronic newsletter. I promise you, we do not share your email. And I have as a strict policy, we do not spam you. The only other thing that you would receive is a flag lowering notice or information related to MDVA recruitments. But aside from that, you will only receive that newsletter every other week.
Thank you for sharing that information, Dana. The next question I have, and again, if anyone else has questions, we have time for a couple more. You can send it to us and put it in the chat if you're on the Zoom with us. You can put it on Facebook Live, and we'll be happy to get those answered for you. The next question is, I have a veteran-centered nonprofit. Can we meet and talk about ways to create bridges for our veterans, bridging opportunities? And I'll give both Dana, you and Mike to answer this. And Dana, we'll start with you.
Absolutely. They can certainly email me directly, and I can put my email in the chat, but it's Dana, DANA.Burrell, BURL @maryland.gov. We could not be successful in our mission without partnerships with nonprofits, businesses, the federal VA, the county VA, Veterans Affairs Commission. So please, by all means, reach out. And if there's a way for us to partner to elevate our message, and if there's a way for us to help, elevate messages and the missions of our community partners, we would definitely love to do that.
Thank you. Mike.
Yep. And to follow up on what Dana said, our website is www.ibwlocal24.org. Same thing. We have links there to our training center. My email address is on there. If it's not mine, it's an administrator email that'll get to me. And anybody who has any interest in exploring bridging opportunities, we'll certainly make ourselves available to them.
Thank you for that, Mike. And I have to say, I've had the opportunity to visit on a number of occasions the training facility up there in Baltimore that IBEW has. First class facility, phenomenal facility. Really appreciate all the good training that they do there, and even some of the programs that they're working with trying to get high school students involved. As you might have heard, the military is a path for some, college is a path for others, but the building trade is yet another path, along with career and technical education. So we want to make sure that we're exposing those folks to those opportunities. And Mike has just done a phenomenal job of creating some of those opportunities to make sure that some of our high school students who want to be exposed have that opportunity. So Before we close out, and I know he's not expecting this, but I just want to do a shout out and give him an opportunity to say a couple words, and that's Mike Church. Correction, John Church. John Church. So I remember when I started down this path a little bit over 4 years ago, John was running around the central Maryland counties. It wasn't just Anne Arundel County, trying to figure out, what a Veterans Commission looks like, and what could we do to create a Veterans Commission in Anne Arundel County, and how could we make that commission meaningful to the veterans in Anne Arundel County. And for those that don't know, Prince George's County has the largest number of veterans in the state, followed by Anne Arundel County. So, John, I know you weren't expecting this, but I'm gonna give you a couple minutes just to say a couple words. And I know that we have some of our other veterans commissions from across the state, either on, tuned in on television or on our Facebook Live. So if you're talking to some of your other commission members from across the state, what would you like to say about what we're doing here in Anne Arundel County?
I'm at a loss to come up with a quick answer, but let me commend you for this evening. And I have a quick question for Mike McHale. And that is, can you give us an idea of salaries for apprentices as they graduate and get into work?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for asking. So in my local union, a first-year apprentice starts at $17.10 an hour. And then they advance at predetermined periods. Believe it's every 6 months. I might be wrong, it might be yearly. But at the end of the day, they make $43.50 as a journeyman wireman per hour here. We have, it's not so important to a longer-term veteran, but we have full family health insurance. We have free pensions, and it's a very good career. And other IBW organizations in this immediate area, the outside guys, the guys that do the overhead line work, I'm a bit of a homer when it comes to the IBW, and it doesn't matter what branch. To me, we're all great. Those guys are making deep into six figures right now with all the infrastructure money. And our sister local in Washington are very well compensated.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, Delegate Rogers, let me go back and try to comment. Within this county, you summarized everything quite well. I was looking, I did find my way, and I think I built a base of activities and concerned and involved veterans. Soon, I will transition out of this position as the chairman. But I hope that I've built a foundation which somebody can build upon and then pursue the direction that the next, or then possibly the incumbent county executive wishes to follow. So I think I'm leaving things in good order. Thank you.
So John, thank you for all the work that you've done. I truly appreciate it, and I look forward to working with you and whatever you decide to do next. And I know that you have a lot of different options. So as we sort of kind of wrap things up this evening, I want to thank a few people. So first, I want to start by thanking our panelists, Ms. Dana Burrow. I mean, no one does it better in the state of Maryland. I mean, this is probably her third symposium. She's just phenomenal. I truly appreciate working with you. And all the things that you do to serve our veterans and our family members. If I'm doing a program for veterans, most likely Dana's somewhere in the background trying to make sure that it's a success. So it's been a wonderful partnership, and I'm looking forward to continuing that partnership and working with you to serve our veterans across the state. I know that you're the former spouse of a veteran, and for me, it's just an affair of the heart. And so, Mike, I truly appreciate you taking the time to come on this evening and educate us about some of the apprenticeship programs that are out there, and how some of our veterans, everybody doesn't want to do 20 years. For some people, it's one tour, maybe two, and they want to do something else. And it's good to know that the building trades are out there, specifically IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electric Workers, to provide a career path, an opportunity to do something that they love and something that is meaningful and impactful. So I want to truly appreciate you and thank you for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy as a business manager. Every time I call Mike, he has to put me on hold because he got 2 of the phone calls that he's dealing with, but he always calls me back. So really appreciate that. To all the folks that are on the audience tonight, thank you for tuning in. For the Marines out there, happy 247th birthday of the Marine Corps. For all the other veterans, happy Veterans Day 2022. Make sure that you take the opportunity to get out there and take advantage of some of the opportunities, to include some of the free food. Dana knows I like a free lunch. She always teases me about that. And I will certainly get my share tomorrow after I attend a couple veterans programs around the state and around Central Maryland. But take the opportunity to get out there and talk to the public about your service. Let them know what you did. Let them, allow them to give you thanks for what you did do serving as veterans. Truly appreciate it. And on behalf of my good friend and colleague, Senator Michael Jackson, I know we look forward to working with you. And I think he laid it out, whether it's healthcare, whether it's housing, whether it's, tax incentives, whether it's the retirement pay benefits. We look forward to continuing working with all of you. And we can't do without you. That advocacy that organizations like the American Legion, the VFW, the Disabled American Veterans, Military Officers Association of America, all the different advocacy groups, MSOs and VSOs, military service organizations and veteran service organizations that are out there. We can't do what we do without you. And at the end of the day, it's all about taking care of our veterans and the family members. And so please continue to call us, reach out to us, help us advocate, come testify. Testifying in front of a committee is critically important to helping legislation succeed. And we couldn't do without you. So we just want to thank you for that in advance, because we're going to be calling on you when it comes time to testify on retired pay, for example, which has gotten out of the Senate for the past couple of years, but we've sort of fallen down in the House. Kudos to the Senate. The House hopefully will get it right. And for all our hometown heroes. So we look forward to continuing to do that work, and we look forward to you continuing to assist us with that. So with that, we're going to give you 3 minutes back of your time this evening, and really appreciate everyone for joining us, and especially our panelists and other guests this evening. So thank you so much, and happy Veterans Day.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everybody.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Delegate Rogers. Thank you, Mike McHale.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Righto, out here.
Take care.
You bet.